Alright guys, in today's video we have some PlayStation related news and information to go over. Some stuff I think you guys are going to be pretty interested in. What we're going to kick it off with here is a new rumor that has surfaced that has to do with December's PlayStation Plus lineup. At least one of those games potentially being leaked, and that game being God of War, which is very awesome if it's true. It says the PlayStation Plus lineup for December is always an important one, as it will be the two PlayStation 4 games that purchasers of the console during the Christmas season will be able to download straight away. And if this potential leak is anything to go by, anyone subscribed to PS Plus should be rather happy with at least one of the titles they'll be able to play as part of the subscription. Over on Reddit, user BubbaManUK has reported that they are unable to purchase God of War on the PlayStation Store due to the fact that the listing for the Standard Edition is displaying as free for PlayStation Plus subscribers. Proof of that can be found in the image below, which I will try to have up on screen. Now that's all well and good, but the picture in question has raised our suspicions. Why is the standard version initially listed at a price of $100 while the Digital Deluxe Edition is down to $30? Could this be a cleverly done Photoshop? We're not entirely convinced either way, but the PlayStation Store has given away the PS Plus lineup in the past through early listings. The PlayStation Plus lineup for the month of December will be announced on Wednesday, November 28th, so we will know for sure in less than a week. So there we go. This is potentially a legitimate thing here, and I thought it was worth sharing because in my opinion it does seem kind of likely. Now this image where it does show the Standard Edition for $100 and the Deluxe Edition for $30 definitely looks suspicious, but at the same time you have to think if this is really glitching out and it is revealing information such as this is going to be free through PlayStation Plus, it would kind of make sense that other things around it wouldn't be would kind of be glitching out as well too, right? Like the price itself. So I don't know. I mean, to me it seems like this could definitely be a thing that happens, because if you look at what Sony did recently with PlayStation Now, they did put God of War on there, and it will be on there until sometime in January of next year. So I could see them being even more lenient and saying, you know what, this is an important month for PlayStation Plus. Let's put one of our best games out there, God of War. There's no doubt that it's reached its peak sales potential, and it's still probably selling well. But at this point, it's probably more beneficial for Sony to be putting this game out there for more people to play, considering it's been out for well over a year now. So yeah, there you go. God of War potentially is going to be one of the PlayStation Plus games we get for December. We don't know what the other game will be, and we're going to have to wait to see if this turns out to be true. And as this article points out, the good news is we're not going to have to wait very long. So let me know if you think that this is actually a game we're going to be getting or not. Moving on from that, something else I want to highlight that really made me laugh is how Sony has decided to promote PS4's remote play feature during Google Stadia's launch week, just going to show how competitive Sony is willing to be, even in an area where they feel as though they are not pursuing it as intensely as other companies are. And I hopefully will be able to have this playing in the background so you can actually watch the advertisement that they put out there on their YouTube channel. It says Sony's already combated Google Stadia by significantly dropping the price of PlayStation Now and adding tentpole titles like God of War and Grand Theft Auto 5, but the platform holder's also eager to point out that you can play PlayStation 4 around the house using Remote Play. The manufacturer recently upgraded this feature, of course, adding support for the DualShock 4 in both Android and iOS. Expect the organization to continue its efforts in this area well into the PlayStation 5 generation and beyond as it attempts to make its console more convenient to use. And yeah, I was just laughing the entire time I was watching this because Google Stadia's big draw is like, hey, you can play your games on any device, on any screen. But the thing that I really appreciated about Sony putting this advertisement out is that it came back down to one thing when you watch the entirety of this advertisement, and that is you still need a PlayStation 4 console to make this a reality, but yet people are still very supportive of that, right? Like nobody's necessarily complaining that you need to buy a PlayStation console to access this feature. In fact, I think it makes more sense that way. And so it just, it points out that Sony they're being competitive, they're, showing that they are versatile, but they're also proving that it's still centered around the console experience, the PlayStation console experience. They're not just, foregoing that and trying to directly compete by saying, hey, we're going to, just be focused fully on the cloud now. No, they're playing it smart. We've talked about this at length on this channel, but I just couldn't help but laugh It's like this is just adding insult to injury between Xbox announcing their 50 plus games through xCloud for people who want to give it a try, and then Sony coming out here, doing their own thing, showing off their remote play capability. It's just funny to me because Google Stadia, they have had a really terrible launch, and it's just getting worse. So there you go. Sony is showing that they are being competitive and not just going to let Google, even though they probably wouldn't make a difference if Sony did anything or not. They're not just going to sit here and do nothing. So there you go. Now, the final thing I want to talk about here, well, actually, it's not the final thing. There's something else I want to mention that I almost forgot, and that has to do with a new AI division that Sony is building up. They're actually opening a new division that's strictly dedicated to just focusing on development of AI, and it's not just going to be for gaming, but they did put a huge emphasis on how important it is going to be for gaming and for their gaming business going forward and their sensor business as well. But thinking about the gaming side of things, this is actually really interesting because they're literally going to have an entire division of people dedicated to just focusing on the improvement that they can make to artificial intelligence. And that's really important for gaming because any game you play, especially Sony's single player games, AI is incredibly important. And so this is going to be a big deal for what they decide to do with the PlayStation 5, specifically PlayStation 5 games. We know when it comes to Sony's first party studios, they're usually always trying to be on the cutting edge. You look at what Naughty Dog is doing with The Last of Us Part 2, you look at the tech that these studios implement, and they're always trying to push the boundaries. Sony Santa Monica and others, Guerrilla Games, they're really always trying to do something to push the bar. Even with Sony Bend, them trying to prove themselves as a AAA game developer once again, what they did with the Hordes, right, and the technology there with the Freaker Hordes. It's very impressive stuff that they're doing, so it's going to be really exciting to see just what comes of this. It's probably going to be quite a while till we see anything major because they are in the process of actually opening this division, but there's no doubt that this is going to be something that will have a big impact on PlayStation 5 games going forward, and I'm going to be really interested in paying attention to what this ends up doing for AI in future PlayStation titles and PlayStation 5 titles. So I wanted to mention that as well. Some of you guys were asking me if I was going to be covering that, and here we are talking about it. It is pretty cool. Final thing we're going to talk about here is how the Remedy Games, the people who made Control, they're talking about the PlayStation 5 and how much more detail it's going to allow them to put into their game worlds, and how they're saying that pretty much it's going to have more detail within game worlds than we've ever seen before, which sounds really exciting. It says, Control developers Remedy recently talked to the official PlayStation magazine about the potential of the PS5's new features and shed some light on just what Sony's next-gen console could mean for developers going forward. In issue 169 of official PlayStation magazine, lead programmer Sean Donnelly spoke about Control's semi-open world and how the studio hit the limit on what the current CPUs are capable of when streaming and loading data between environments. When it comes to the PS5, faster hardware is always appreciated and will make life easier in the short term, Donnelly said, but it's the new SSD that really stands out. Essentially, streaming will become something that we don't really have to worry about so much about. It'll be something we don't have to worry about so much, and it will free up some extra CPU bandwidth in the process. When the PS5 specs were revealed, the addition of a solid-state drive or SSD was perhaps one of the most significant changes and moves the next-gen console away from using the mechanical hard drives found in the PS3 and PS4. The SSD could potentially reduce loading times pretty drastically and improve the console's overall performance. From a developer standpoint, though, Donnelly explains that without the SSD, data streaming would become a bottleneck and restrict the content quality of PS5 games. With it, though, the SSD will lift the restrictions imposed by current systems and will enable developers to craft more detailed worlds. For something like Control, that could translate to an even deeper destruction system, richer, more detailed worlds, and simple quality of life improvements like instant reloading after dying, which that actually is something that I think was a problem for some people with I did Platinum Control, and yeah, some of the loading times on the death screens were it was a little bit much at certain times. So this is actually really awesome, and I love to hear this stuff, especially from a developer like Remedy. I thought Control was awesome, but we do know it had its technical issues. It was trying to really push the limits, as you can see here with what they were doing with some of the destructible environments and whatnot, and frame rate was definitely an issue on PlayStation. But I really enjoyed that game, and this is just something you hear a lot of developers talking about when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and the next gen consoles in general, is just how they seem very excited and very eager to be able to really tap into the SSDs, right, and how much of an impact that's actually going to make. And even when we hear about what the marketing for these next-gen consoles, specifically with PlayStation, what it's going to focus on, it's going to be focusing on that SSD, on the speed, and I think people are going to be quite surprised at just how big of a difference it's going to be between the PlayStation 4 and what we've known from past generations to what we're going to get with the PS5. You know, hearing that they're going to be able to do even more with their game worlds, more detail, be able to just push the limits and stream things more quickly. It's going to be less bottleneck. That combined with the massive upgrade in the CPU as well as the GPU, it's going to be really exciting. Like, there's some people I don't think people don't realize just how significant of an upgrade this is going to be. Like, you're going to see a pretty big difference between PlayStation 4 games and PlayStation 5 games, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Hopefully it was informative video for you. I tried to pack as much info in this video as I possibly could. Some really interesting stuff going on. At this point, I want you guys to let me know your thoughts about everything we talked about down below. What piece of information has you most excited or are you most interested in? Let me know. Like the video if you did enjoy it, if you did find it informative. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.